Chapter 2. There is a science of getting rich. There is a science of getting rich, and it is an exact science, like algebra or arithmetic. There are certain laws that govern the process of acquiring riches. Once these laws are learned and obeyed by any man, he will get rich with mathematical certainty. The ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things in a certain way. Those who do things in this certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, get rich, while those who do not do things in this certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, remain poor. It is a natural law that like causes always produce like effects, and therefore any man or woman who learns to do things in this certain way will infallibly get rich. That the above statement is true is shown by the following facts. Getting rich is not a matter of environment. If it were, all the people in certain neighborhoods would become wealthy. The people of one city would all be rich, while those in other towns would all be poor. Or the inhabitants of one state would roll in wealth, while those of an adjoining state would be in poverty. But everywhere we see rich and poor living side by side, in the same environment, and often engaged in the same vocations. When two men are in the same locality and in the same business, and one gets rich while the other remains poor, it shows that getting rich is not primarily a matter of environment. Some environments may be more favorable than others, but when two men in the same business and same neighborhood produce different results, it indicates that getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way. And further, the ability to do things in this certain way is not due solely to the possession of talent. Many people who have great talent remain poor, while others with very little talent get rich. Studying the people who have gotten rich, we find that they are an average lot in all respects, having no greater talents and abilities than other men. It is evident that they do not get rich because they possess talents and abilities others do not, but because they happen to do things in a certain way. Getting rich is not the result of saving or thrift. Many very penurious people are poor, while free spenders often get rich. Nor is getting rich due to doing things that others fail to do. Two men in the same business may do almost exactly the same things, and one gets rich while the other remains poor, or becomes bankrupt. From all these observations, we must come to the conclusion: getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way. If getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way, and if like causes always produce like effects, then any man or woman who can do things in that way can become rich. The whole matter is brought within the domain of exact science. The question arises, might this certain way be so difficult that only a few can follow it? This cannot be true. As we've seen, it's not a matter of natural ability. Talented people get rich, and blockheads get rich. Intellectually brilliant people get rich, and very stupid people get rich. Physically strong people get rich, and weak and sickly people get rich. Some degree of ability to think and understand is, of course, essential. But insofar as natural ability is concerned, any man or woman who has sense enough to read and understand these words can certainly get rich. Also, we've seen that it is not a matter of environment. Location counts for something. You wouldn't go to the heart of the Sahara and expect to do successful business. Getting rich does involve dealing with people. You must be where people are, and ideally, where they are inclined to deal in the way you want to deal. But that's about as far as environment goes. If anybody else in your town can get rich, so can you. If anybody else in your state can get rich, so can you. Again, it is not a matter of choosing some particular business or profession. People get rich in every business and every profession, while their next-door neighbors in the same field remain in poverty. It is true, you will do best in a business that you like and that is congenial to you. If you have certain well-developed talents, you'll do best in a business that calls for those talents. Also, you'll do best in a business suited to your locality. An ice cream parlor will thrive in a warm climate more than in Greenland, and a salmon fishery will do better in the Pacific Northwest than in Florida, where there are no salmon. But aside from these general limitations, getting rich is not dependent on engaging in some particular business. It depends on learning to do things in a certain way. If you're in business now, and someone else in your area is getting rich in the same business while you are not, it's because they are doing things in the certain way, and you are not. No one is prevented from getting rich by lack of capital. True, once you have capital, increasing it becomes easier and faster. But a person with capital is already rich, and doesn't need to consider how to become so, no matter how poor you may be. If you begin to do things in the certain way, you will begin to get rich, and you will begin to accumulate capital. The getting of capital is part of the process of getting rich. It is one of the results that invariably follows doing things in the certain way. You may be the poorest man on the continent, deeply in debt, with no friends, no influence, and no resources. But if you begin to do things in this way, you must infallibly begin to get rich. For like causes must produce like effects. If you have no capital, you can get capital. If you are in the wrong business, you can move into the right one. If you are in the wrong location, you can relocate. And you can do it all by beginning right where you are now, to do things in the certain way that causes success.